Hey guys, it's Bree. I wanted to do a video response to a kind of short video that I saw on 1Book1Review's channel about rereading. She was talking about how growing up she has these vivid memories of her dad sitting at the table and reading and rereading and rereading The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and how this is something that her father continues to do to this day, even though she's a fully grown adult and he's been doing it all of her life. I thought this was a really cool thing to talk about because it's so different from something that I would normally do. I have a couple of books that I reread, but I'm typically not a rereader. I prefer to kind of move on to different and new stories, especially when I'm reading fiction. So I think rereading is a really interesting thing. Like I've said, I'm always reading new stories, and to me that's part of the fun of reading, is to go into new worlds and have new adventures as often as possible. Especially because I think on a very personal level for me, that they're more exciting and engaging than something like television. My significant other, on the other hand, rereads the same books practically every other month. I've seen him pick up the same copy of the Flannery O'Connor complete stories probably, I don't know, every 2 months for the past 5 years. It's such a different type of behavior than something that I would normally engage in. But I think it's really cool. There's something, I think, that must be more, or at the very least differently creative, about somebody who can pick up the same story and get something new out of it, not just 1 or 2 times, but kind of into perpetuity. It's a very cool thing to me, and I'm really very jealous of people who reread a lot of different books. On kind of a personal level, I have only a few books that I reread. I'll tell you a little bit about them. And admittedly, a couple of them are ones that I'm a little bit less than thrilled to share with you. But some of them I love and have stuck with me and spoken to me, especially because they also got incorporated into my education. So the first one is probably my favorite, and that is Eichmann in Jerusalem by Hannah Arendt. And you can tell my copy is just tabbed and beaten up, and I'm surprised pages aren't falling out at this point. This is about Adolf Eichmann, who was the man who kind of did all of the train transportation and was in charge of moving the Jewish community during the Holocaust. Hannah Arendt is a German Jew, and she is a philosopher who reported for a major U.S. news publication about the Eichmann trial, and it is all about her interpretation of what brought Eichmann to doing these kind of horrible things. And it's about fanaticism and joining and kind of the subtle ways that evil creeps into our lives. And it's so powerful. It's a very controversial book. But it's one that I go back to every couple of years because it's just had such an impact in the way I see things. This is perhaps the most embarrassing book in this list. I'm not gonna lie, because it's certainly not his best work, but it's Timeline by Michael Crichton. This book I have been rereading since I was in 8th grade maybe. I've read it 5 or 6 times, again, just such a beaten up copy. And sometimes I just go back and I reread my favorite parts, not even the entire story, but just the parts that I enjoy and that are like fast-paced or that I think have really great descriptions. It's not Crichton's best work, but it is just a book that has grown with me and that I have seen at different points in time and just loved. And then, kind of a little bit out of the ordinary, is a collection of poetry. It's of Lord Alfred Tennyson's poetry. In specific, I really love Marianne and Kate, which are two stories about two very different women. Kate is a kind of hot-headed, independent woman, and I kind of just love seeing Tennyson's reaction to her. And Marianne is just heartbroken and love-struck, and sometimes that just really speaks to me too. Anyway, I really love the idea of rereading. It's something that I wish I did more of, but I just don't. What books do you reread? I'm really interested to know what books speak to people, because I think that says not just a lot about the book, but a lot about the people in the community that we live in. And then there's another thought that I kind of have, which is my significant other will give beaten up, terribly beaten up copies of the books that he likes to people as presents. And I was wondering kind of your thoughts about this. Is there something that you think is valuable in knowing what other books people reread? And is there something special about specific copies of books that have been reread and worn and loved? I'm inclined to say yes, but I can't really articulate why, except for to say that they have a greater emotional connection to the people that we know. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys later this week. Bye.